Welcome to this week's edition of Black Authors Matter TV, where we interview the latest movers and shakers in the African American literary community. You'll meet some old friends, discover new ones, and stay abreast of the latest book developments around the country and even the world. So sit back and relax for the next 2 hours with Black Authors Matter TV co-hosts Gwen Richardson and Dr. Rhonda Lawson.
Good evening and welcome to Black Authors Matter TV. It is November 21st and Thanksgiving is imminent. So we want to welcome you to the show and hope you are really enjoying the holiday season, which kind of kicks off right after Halloween. And just welcome to the show. I'm Gwen Richardson, your host for tonight, along with my co-host,
Dr. Rhonda Lawson. Good evening, everyone. I missed y'all last week.
We missed you. I was able to, I was able to make it happen and make it work.
I caught a glimpse of the show. I said, oh, look at Gwen holding it down. I felt so bad, but my job had me working probably till like 9 o'clock at night.
Well, you have to do what you have to do because, your job does come first.
Yeah.
We would love it if we were both making like big bucks from this show. And that's something that we're working on. But when duty calls, it calls. So we have a really amazing show for you tonight. The first thing we're going to do is show you a video about the show for those who haven't seen it yet. And it's just a compilation video that tells you all about Black Authors Matter TV. So Robert, our media manager, is going to show you the video. Then we'll be right back.
Since the Black Authors Matter TV live stream show and podcast launched in July 2020, it's been regarded as the platform of record for African American literature. Co-hosted by literary influencers Gwen Richardson and Dr. Rhonda Lawson, the show averages 3,000 viewers and listeners every week. Every Tuesday, we interview a variety of movers and shakers in the literary world, including celebrities and media commentators, NAACP Image Award nominees and winners, historians, agents and marketing professionals, publishers, bookstore owners from coast to coast, book club facilitators, online book groups and book chats, book event coordinators, literary nonprofit organizations and projects, and, in some cases, Black Authors Matter TV has conducted one of the last interviews prior to a literary influencer's transition. In fact, since the show's inception 3 years ago, Black Authors Matter TV has interviewed more than 500 guests, and the list continues to grow. Engaging, relatable, timely, and most of all, committed to excellence. Black Authors Matter TV continues to bring viewers the latest book industry news and new releases, and will continue to do so for years to come.
So that gives you all an idea about how the show was founded and how all the people we've interviewed over the last 3 years, we are actually now approaching 600 people. And sometime in maybe February, we'll reach the 600 number because we're past 550 and it just continues to grow. And these are individual interviews, not total, because some people we've interviewed more than once. So the number is based on individual people. So we are excited about that. Now, our first guest just contacted us a few minutes before showtime and had a family emergency. So Leo Sullivan is not able to join us tonight. So during the first 25 to 30 minutes of the show, we're going to do a few other things. First, Rhonda is going to talk about her holiday event that she's planning. And I'm assuming it's in the DMV, but she will tell us if it's different. So Rhonda, tell us about your holiday
event. It's a holiday line. So
oh, okay. Well, that's an event.
Yeah, that's an event. So I mean, right now, I don't know if you noticed the hoodie that I'm wearing right now. This is a part of the line.
Okay.
It's the one that says read, write, and be merry.
Okay. Okay.
I posted the picture of another one. I believe it was yesterday. The days are blended in with each other. But the other one says, "All I want for Christmas is a bestseller." Oh, and wine.
Okay.
So,
now, is the bestseller, is that for people who write books or people who read books? It could be both. Okay.
yeah, and we also have wrapping paper. We have tumblers. We even have a blanket with this same design on it. I'm going to put the link in the chat for anybody who might be interested and ordering anything from the store, and it will come before Christmas. In fact, I ordered this and it came in less than a week. That's how quickly it comes. So support the shop, support Meet the World Image Solutions. All of this is going to go toward supporting our Black History Month Literary Weekend, which will be February 22nd through the 24th. And we'll be adding more items to the store as time goes on. But right now we're focusing on the holiday line. But soon we'll be adding the Heritage line and the Literary Pride line. But everything that we sell in the store is related to literacy, it's related to books, and it's related to Black pride. So it's truly a line with a purpose. And like I said, everything goes toward the Black History Month Literary Weekend. And the Literary Weekend is where we celebrate authors, we give scholarships and essay contest winners. And we just have a grand old time just celebrating literacy and promoting Black History Month. So if you're in the DMV, I definitely want you to come to the event. More information to follow about the event coming soon. But right now, get on this line, man. Get on this line. I'll be putting the link in the chat, and I would love it if you support it.
Okay, for your Black History event, what year is it? Which number? Like, how many have you done?
We are yes, we are in our 8th year.
Oh wow! Okay.
Yes, it is growing and soaring. I'm already starting to put the 10th anniversary into works because I'm really looking forward to saying that this event has been going strong, and we've done it every year, even during COVID.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I know you did the virtual like we did for the festival,
virtual, but we've done it every year since 2017. This was my actual first event. The first event of Meet the World Image Solutions. It was basically the event that kicked everything off.
Okay. Well, that sounds great. Now, your holiday event, you said it's a live. So what are you going to be doing live for the holiday?
Oh, it's a line.
Line. I thought you said it was live. I thought you were going to be live streaming something. And like you're going to have some carolers or something going on like that. Well, and an white elephant thing,
that would be fun. You kind of gave me an idea. I might have to think about that.
Yeah, think about that. Because Mary, I love the holiday season. We talked about this before. To me, Christmas time is just my favorite time of year. Yes. One, it's extended. It's not just a one-off. It's not just a one day. Even though Christmas is a one-day event, but the season is many weeks, and people are generally in a good mood, and it's a festive atmosphere. And I plan my gift giving. I start buying gifts in July, so normally by now I think I'm totally done.
You always said that you start your Christmas shopping early. I'm buying a house this year, so my Christmas shopping might come the day before Christmas Eve. I mean, if my family's lucky, I'm gonna try to put a little something under the tree, but the house is the priority this year.
Yeah, well, sometimes you have to make decisions. But I buy early and I catch things on sale. I'm very conscious of individual tastes and interests, and I do shop for the individual. I think about the different people, and the list of people I give gifts to tends to grow with my family as my nieces and nephews have more children. But I love it. I love the season. I do a lot of cooking and baking, and I have a brunch. One year, maybe you can come to the brunch, Rhonda, because the brunch is at my house, and it's my thank you to all the managers and volunteers that really are committed every year to the National Black Book Festival. So I cook for them. I have like, it's a
That's
lot of cooking.
sweet.
Every year I do it the second Saturday of December, and it's the holiday brunch. We exchange gifts, and we start at 10. Normally we don't eat till around 11:30 or 12, but I cook some awesome food, if I should say so myself, and everybody else agrees.
Well, I'm sure. I mean, you've told me, and I know you like to host people because we had
I
talked
do.
about that before.
Mhm. I
So
do.
I'm sure that you probably turn up the heat a
I
lot.
turned it up, and so it's going to be great this year. So it's my way of saying thank you to the managers and you're the team, which you're part of the team for the festival. Um, they're so committed. They're so, we have the most committed, the best team of professional people that care about literature, and I would stack them up against any team in the United States because it's volunteer. I would love it if, because most of my time is volunteer for the festival. I don't get paid. People, if I would love to have a big budget where I could pay everybody. But the beauty is, too, the people who on our team, they act like they're getting paid. They work like they're getting paid.
And I will say this. Yeah, you may not be paying people per se, but the thing is, you also treat people like they're doing this for you, like they're supporting you. And what I mean by that is that you are never rude to anybody. You don't order people around. And sometimes when people are investing their time and energy into helping people, they don't always get the same love in return. But you're not like that. You give a lot of love to the people who support you, and I think that that's a beautiful thing, and it says a lot about you. So I want to thank you for what you did for me while I was in Houston last month, because I really appreciated it. From my room to making sure I had my space, anything I needed, you were like, "Hey, Robert's here. I got you. Just let me know what you need." And it wound up being a beautiful event because of the love that you gave each and every one of the volunteers who supported you.
Oh, I don't even think about it because my thing is, what what else would any reasonable person do? But I also genuinely appreciate it because I don't take it for granted at all. We had our debrief last night. The local management team, the Pam Shalita, Mary, Brenda, the other Rhonda, and we do a debrief every year on Zoom just to do an evaluation of everything. And one thing that they said, which I thought was really kind of funny, but they said this is the only event they know of, especially Black event, that has its own literary correspondent. I knew you would think that was funny.
A literary correspondent.
Yeah, and I told them how that happened. I said we were on the phone. When I was this is several years ago, 5-6 years ago, we were talking about how to get you more involved, because I knew it would be a good partnership, and you had a lot to bring to the event. So I said, okay, we need to give you a title. So we were on the phone trying to figure out. Said, hey, literary correspondent. That's great. Yeah. And so that's how we came up with that. But Rhonda has been a great addition to the event. She does this on-site live stream interviews of all of the featured people, and then some of the participating authors. She does an interview with them that's live stream. Those of you all who got to attend or didn't get to attend, we've been posting videos and photos for the last 2.5 weeks. It took us a while to go through because we had about 500 photos that the photographer, he took some amazing footage. And we have, yeah, he did a great job. We had reels this year. So we had like 1 to 15-second short videos from different aspects of the event that we've been posting. So it'll be at least a month before we finish because it's just so many pictures. And, it kind of tells the story of the event and some of the things that happened there. And I try every author who was there at their table when the photographer went around, and he was there from 11 to 5 on Saturday. They got their picture taken. Most of the time it was multiple pictures. So pretty much every author who had a vendor table, his picture will be posted. Some of them got more pictures than others, just because of the nature of photography, it's just the nature of the beast. But everybody who was at their table at some point, he got pictures and he got pictures of their table too. He didn't just do them. He took pictures of their backdrops and the stuff on their table. He was just really, he did a great job. He did our photography last year too. So we were very excited about that. Curtis Steverson, he's one of our new regular fans. He said he definitely wants to attend the book festival in the future. It is an amazing event. So next we're going to do our book giveaway. This week we have to give away, we have a advanced reading copy of a book called The Blackwoods, and it is by Randy Colbert.
I like that cover.
I like it too. Like the glasses. So the trivia question for this book is, and here's the cover again. The main character of this book her name is Blossom Blackwood. So the Blackwoods, I guess, is the family that's the center of the book. But the trivia is, what are her great-granddaughter's first names? She has 2 great-granddaughters. And what are their first names? The first person to answer correctly, that's the best, will get a copy of the Blackwoods.
All right, so, let me put it in the chat before y'all start trying to respond.
Yeah, because a lot of times people answer before Rhonda even gets to put it in there.
Right.
So you're okay, and you posted a link with the holiday line of sweatshirts and everything that you have. So whoever answers that question first will get. Oh, Mary got it.
Mary.
And Mary, Mary's came through first on my end, and then Curtis was right after. So they did it in a different order. Mary said Ardith and Hollis, and Curtis said Hollis and Ardith. Those are the names. So Mary, you get, and you haven't wondered why she's been busy. Mary gets her copy of the book.
Mary said Curtis can have it.
No, we're going to do this fair because Curtis has gotten like a book every single week for the last 4 or 5 months. So we're going to do it fair. It's fair and square. So, Mary, your book is on the way. So the next thing we're going to do, for those of you all who have been following the show, you all know that my new release is called Exodus from Treachery. It is a political thriller, and it is doing very well on Amazon. It has 5-star reviews so far. Everybody who reads it say, everyone who reads it says they couldn't put it down. It's a page turner. One of my the oldest customers for Kush City that's been buying books and calendars from us for 20 years, and it's not an exaggeration. She's literally been buying from us for 20 years, maybe 21 years. She got a copy of the book, and she told me she was up to 5 a.m. because she couldn't put it down. And she's 80-something years old. So she read it and she loved it. So what I thought I would do during our time is, and Curtis did say, Mary, you can keep the book. He's being a true gentleman. But we're going to do it fair and square.
Somebody else a chance.
Yeah. So what I'm going to do with Exodus from Treachery, I'm going to read a short excerpt from the book. And it's the excerpt that's in the prologue, which is right at the very beginning of the book. And as I said, it's a political thriller. And what people tell me about the book is the characters and the situation are so real that's why they can't put it down. So I'm going to just read the little part of the beginning and to give you a flavor of what the storyline is about. So this is from the prologue of Exodus from Treachery. The members of the group of 12 were seated around a large oval-shaped mahogany conference table, waiting for the dossiers of the potential political candidates to be uploaded to their individual tablets for review. The group, known within their limited circle as the committee, met only a few times a year, but never in the same location on 2 consecutive occasions. Meeting face to face was risky, but every conceivable precaution was taken to ensure the committee's secrecy. They were an extremely cautious bunch. There was no paper or digital trail connecting the 12 to each other, nor to the unsavory but necessary deeds they often set in motion. They had underlings or henchmen thrice removed to perform the actual dirty work while they awaited the outcomes via 24-hour news outlets or social media platforms. There was no limit to what they would do to achieve their goals. They were self-appointed masters of the universe and did not believe in or answer to a higher authority. As far as they were concerned, their power was only limited by their ability to bend others to their will. So the committee is at the core of this book, but the villain is on the front. And the person who did my cover did a really good job of showing the key player that's over the committee. And so it's a really, really good story. And I would love it if you all would download it or buy the paperback. If you want to get an autographed copy of the book, then you can get it from my website, which is gwenrichardson.com. But it's also available on Amazon, on Kindle, and in paperback. And I'm considering getting an Audible done, but I have to think about it because I've never had one of my books done on audio. Are any of your books on audio?
No, but I am actually planning on putting Cheating in the Next Room on audio very soon because next year will be the 20th anniversary since it was released. And I planned on re-releasing it as a reimagined story and then putting it on audio.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I haven't done it. And this book is actually a sequel. The first book was called The Genesis Files. So I'm calling the series the Genesis series. And I'm hoping to do a book 3. I don't know when exactly, but it's not going to be as long as it took me to do book 2. But my main character is a journalist named Lloyd Palmer, and he's the key player. In the first book, he really is the main focus. In book 2, his people that surround him get more play than they did in the first book. So it's a page turner and it's important. Now, I want to give the date for the 2024 National Black Book Festival. It's going to be October 17th through the 19th. So we were originally planning to have it on the 24th through the 26th, but the venue that we utilize, which is the Fallbrook Church and the Brook Sports Facility, Fallbrook in recent years became a voting site. So next year that the gym that we use is going to be used for early voting for the presidential election. And that will be from October 21st to the 30th. So because of that, we weren't able to secure the dates that we originally thought we were. So we just moved it back a week to the 17th through the 19th. Registration for it opens January 1st. So for those who would like to register to be participating authors, all you have to do is put down a small deposit when you register, and then your remaining balance is due to the end of July. And we normally sell out of tables by the 1st of August. So just keep that in mind, because we turned away about 100 people. Now, we couldn't have taken them in because we didn't have the space, but about 100 people contacted us about being at the festival after we sold out in early August. So just if you want to participate, it's a great event. It's so much free stuff. I mean, the whole event is free and open to the public, but as far as attending, but we have so much free information. We have some amazing seminars. you get to meet publishers and people who are active in the literary community. So, and all of our featured author sessions are free. It's free. So we wanted to make it that way so more people could participate and attend. So we are going to, our next guest is someone that you all, well, our first guest now, because he was going to be the second guest, but our first guest for tonight is someone that you all have seen, I'm sure. He's an actor, but he's also an author, and his name is Eriq LaSalle. So Eriq LaSalle was in ER in the early seasons of the show ER. He also was in 24. I don't know if did you watch 24, Rhonda? He was in one of the later seasons of 24
I did
as a like the ambassador to the United Nations or something like that. He played that part in one of the later seasons of the show 24.
And that's the only two things you're just gonna name, huh?
No, he's been in some other thing. Well, I don't know if is this the Coming to America is what like kicked off his career. So he was with the Soul Glow hair, Jerry curl spray line, and so he was the son of the owner of that, the famous family. So that kicked his career off for real. But
I wish you cannot talk about Eriq LaSalle without mentioning Coming to America.
You're right. You're right. So we're going to welcome Eriq LaSalle to Black Authors Matter TV. And he is here as an author. He is still an actor. And he also does film production too, from what I understand. But he is going to tell us about that. And we are excited to have him on to talk about his latest book, which is called Laws of Annihilation. So welcome to Black Authors Matter TV.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. How are you guys?
We're doing great, and thank you for being a guest on the show. Now, are you on the East Coast or the West Coast?
West Coast.
Oh, okay. So it's earlier in the day there.
You are.
So, yeah, we're the show is scheduled for Central Time, but we have guests up from all over. So,
okay. Where are you based?
I'm based in Houston, and we were both in Central Time when we first started the show. She was in New Orleans, and I was in Houston, so that's why we did it that way. But then she moved to the DC area. So,
and so now I'm an hour ahead of you guys. So,
okay, something happened on your screen.
Yes, we need to fix that.
Yeah, we have a live show, so when it's live, anything can happen.
There we go.
So we don't record, we don't tape our interviews, other than we record them and then we do post them. But this is live streamed, and the show stays online. And
I was just gonna say, normally when by the time we end the show, it's past my bedtime.
Yeah, that is true. So I know you came to the National Black Book Festival years ago when you did I believe it was your first book.
I wasn't physically there.
No, you were. You were there. You were physically there. You were physically at
the National. Yeah, you talking about Curtis Buns?
No.
Oh, okay.
No,
in Houston.
In Houston.
Oh, in Houston. Okay, I'm sorry. I thought you meant Curtis Buns because that's his.
Yeah, he does the book club conference.
Right.
Yeah, but ours is the National Black Book Festival. And I think when you came, that was the first time at the venue, our first time being at Fallbrook. But we've been there.
That was when because I originally self-published the books. We're talking 11, 12 years ago for the first book, and then 10 years ago for the second book. So that period I was doing a lot of festivals and doing what I could to promote it. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I think it was 10 years. So I think it may have been the second book. So I think was it Laws of Wrath? Was that the second book?
Laws of Wrath. That's the second book.
Okay. All right. So that's when you came. So and the way that you ended up coming was somewhat odd because it was all based on Twitter. It was I said something about when your book came out. I said, did you actually write the book or did you have a ghostwriter? And I think Troy Johnson was on, it was on his page or something. And you tweeted back that you wrote the book. And then I said, well, would you come to the National Black Book Festival? And you said, sure. That was how you ended up. It was kind of bizarre, but we were happy to have you. And as a matter of fact, and I'll talk to your assistant after the show, but we would love to have you back again next year if your schedule permits. So I will.
When do you guys normally do it?
It would be, the date would be October the 19th. That would be the appearance date. So I will get with your assistant. We would love to have you. And I like that you write mysteries because that's one of my favorite genres. So has it been like a big gap? Wasn't there a big gap? Is this your third book?
Yes.
So there was a gap between.
Well, technically no, because I wrote the first two books. I wrote the first book 12 years ago. It was published 12 years ago, self-published. Then I wrote the second book that was self-published 10 years ago. And then we just really spent the next few years trying to get a publisher because my agent said that they didn't want me self-publishing anymore. So the reason I say technically it wasn't a gap is because we then Sourcebooks picked it up and said we want to rebrand and remarket the first two books, knowing that you have, a bunch of new books coming. So they gave it basically a second life, which happened a year ago. So as of last year, Laws of Depravity, which was the first book, that was released last October. Laws of Wrath was released 6 months later. And then Laws of Annihilation was released 6 months later. So even though technically, yes, it was, it was a big gap, right. But I really respect how they sort of gave it new life, gave it a whole new second treatment. And then I was able to release books every 6 months for the last year and a half, which is awesome. And now I'm working on books 4 and 5 as well.
That's wonderful. Congratulations. Now, when you went through the rebrand, mm-hmm. did you also have a chance to kind of reimagine the story a bit?
No, I left the story alone. One thing we did do when I first wrote Laws of Depravity, I got a lot of positive feedback. A lot of readers were really into it, great reviews. And so I knew that it was going to take me some time to write the second book. So I wrote a short story, which ended up being a prequel. And so we just released that digitally and just, and it's like 20, 25 pages. It wasn't a big, but that was supposed to just sort of whet the appetites of readers and just sort of give them something. When we rebranded the books, we took the prequel and actually added it to the physical book, Laws of Depravity. And so the prequel is at the end of Laws of Depravity. That's really the only thing I didn't change one word otherwise, but we just added that prequel to basically, so Laws of Depravity, now the newest versions, you get that extra treat of having.
You kind of whet the appetites for the next story.
Right. Well, but the funny thing is we do the prequel, but we do the prequel after the first book.
Yeah, this is true.
The prequel is really more connected to the first book.
The first story. Okay.
Yeah, the first story.
That's an interesting concept.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I thought a backstory. Is it like the backstory?
Yeah, like a backstory.
It's a backstory. It sort of shows how the killer became attached to this little boy. You realize the little boy ends up being one of the main characters' sons, the little boy ends up committing suicide. And that's kind of what helped to spark this serial killer targeting certain people. So it was connected that way.
Okay, so your recurring character in the books is the serial killer? Is it the antagonist or the protagonist? That's the
Well,
recurring character in the book,
well, the
or is it
recurring
both?
Yeah, the antagonist is in both books. I'm sorry, is in the first book and the prequel. Uh,
Okay.
but then the recurring characters, the protagonists, are three characters. One is Irish Italian American. His name is Detective Quincy Kavanaugh. He's partnered with an African American detective whose name is Fee Freeman. They then partner with a Jewish female FBI agent. And so that's our franchise. It's really the three of them investigating these high-profile serial killings. And so the two detectives are considered the best closers in New York. So it's reminiscent of the movie Seven, if you remember Brad Pitt and Morgan Freeman teaming up. So it has that, younger, but it has that salt and pepper team. They just team up with an FBI agent who's been basically chasing after the serial killer for years. So the serial killer moves around from city to city. So when he comes to New York, our detectives are investigating it as a new crime, but this FBI agent has been actually tracking him for 10 years. So the three of them come together, and that becomes our franchise, the three of them.
Wow,
Okay.
that sounds like something that we would want to watch and not just read.
Well, that's how they're conceived. And obviously my background in film and television plays a big part and is very influential on my writing, because most readers comment about how cinematic the story is. They can actually see it, they can feel it. And so the goal is to turn a successful literary franchise into a successful film or / television streaming franchise. So that's the next thing. And I've started having some preliminary conversations about that. I really want to make sure we have all five. We're looking at probably 5 books in this particular series. Unless I get so inspired, I want to do more. But right now I'm working on books 4 and 5. And then when we have this franchise that would technically represent 5 seasons of a television streaming show, that would be 5 seasons, which is the watermark, and that's what you really want to hit.
That's awesome. So I love the intentionality behind everything that you're doing with this series.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I've been. It's also, it helps to give yourself, to empower yourself. I think my industry is really, really weird and interesting. So then again, so is the publishing industry. But, a lot of times in my industry, people don't really know what their opinion is. Like on Monday, they may like something, but if their boss on Tuesday tells them they don't like it, then all of a sudden they don't like it. They also, you can have something that's good, but then they start asking, well, is it based on a book? Is it based, like they need that extra thing, as opposed to just going with, hey, I really believe in this. So I wanted to give them as much. And then obviously when you turn over a bestseller series, it whets the appetite even more, and people become more impassioned by it. So that's why I want to turn this into a 5-book series, and then start looking at pursuing it as a film and television.
Now, what motivated you to start writing the books? Is that something that you always had in the back of your mind with the acting? What made you just sit down and start doing that?
Well, it's, when I was a lot younger, when I was 8 years old, I used to love writing poetry. Then at 14, I ended up, auditioning for the drama club, and then the acting bug bit. And so obviously for several decades, the focus was on acting. Then once I started directing, I had to write short films to direct. So that got me re-interested in writing. And then just as I started becoming an executive producer, a director, and it's just all been extensions of storytelling. So I consider myself a storyteller, which is to me all encompassing. So this just became another avenue of exploring that discipline and that passion. So for me, it's another great way of telling story. I found out as I got into it, I felt, I've written screenplays, short film screenplays, full length. I've written pilots. And I've found that personally, I feel I'm a better novelist than all the other things that, ironically, I had more experience at, because over the years I've written, several screenplays, several pilots, etc. But once I started writing novels, it just, I don't know, freed up a lot in me. It gave me access to get into characters' backstories and to their mindsets and the inner workings of their mind. And so if I present a villain, I sort of show you through their backstory and through their mindset how they became a villain, how they, and so, and you obviously gifted screenwriters can accomplish the same thing, but I like this medium the best, and I'm most passionate and feel the most confident with it, ironically. And when you sit down and say, well, I'm going to write a novel, it's very intimidating.
It can be, yes.
Yeah, you're like, am I smart enough? Am I, you know what I mean? And then you just jump in and you start doing it, and you start realizing, and then the first thing I started trying to write wasn't great, but then you salvage what did work, and then it led me to my next story, which ended up becoming Laws of Depravity. So that's that was a blessing.
So it sounds like the arts has been a part of your life for basically ever. Have you known that this? I know you said you caught the acting bug at 14, but when did you know that this is something that you wanted to pursue seriously, where you weren't going to look for that, let me get another job to fall back on in case this acting thing doesn't work out, or let me get a real job and I'll just do acting as something fun to do on the side? When did you realize this is what you were going to do? This was your path?
At 14. Yeah.
Yes.
And I don't know. I think I say that I was blessed and fortunate to know what I wanted to do. And so that early, people come to acting in different ways. Some actors, they get into it in their 30s, their 40s. I started excelling. And I think we're always attracted to the things that we excel at, you know what I mean? And I'm sure if I had been an amazing athlete, I probably would have pursued that more if I'd been, you know what I mean? And so so originally I thought, I want to be a doctor. And then I was like, I'm kind of scared of blood. So that was it. And then, but when I stumbled into acting, you have to realize I was at risk of being held back as a freshman in high school. I had my first leather jacket. The girls, some of them started calling me cute. So you start getting all distracted with that. And, schoolwork was secondary to me. Once I started acting in the drama club, I then made the honor roll. I was a complete, I had this focus, I had this passion. My mother didn't quite understand it, but what she was smart enough, she understood that this is something that he is serious about. It's affecting him in a very positive way. He's more responsible. So, if I would screw up, she'd be like, okay, you're not going to be able to go to drama club if you don't go clean your room or whatever. Blackmailed me with it, kept me on the right path. And so I think when something, moves you that way, and then my then mentor, Clay Stevenson, said that he thought I should audition for Gilliard. And I had never even heard of Gilliard. I didn't know what it was, but I trusted him. And I knew if he thought it was a great idea, then it was a great idea. And it wasn't until I started preparing my audition and doing research on Gilliard and realizing how prestigious it was and how, so
Big
I almost
deal.
didn't have time to be intimidated by it, because by that time I was so deep into it, and I had his support. So fortunately I knew early on, and that really made a big difference. And then it's really the only job I've ever really had, was, I joined an acting troupe in high school, so I was getting paid a little something. And so I, technically became a professional actor at 15. And I never looked back.
That's a wonderful story. I mean, that might be the next book you do, is just a story on your life and your path. I mean, because I would say drama acting is not easy. I've watched my daughter with it, because she caught the acting bug at a young age as well. At 12 years old, she graduated from Clark Atlanta with a theater degree, but then she kind of got discouraged from it. She wasn't able to find an agent, and then she started to wonder, well, maybe I shouldn't have majored in theater. Maybe I should have gone the regular route. And like, no, this is what you love. This is what you pursue. So that's part of the reason why I asked that question, is how do you stay encouraged when it starts to get difficult?
Well, I think I think there's obviously faith, and there is, sometimes, and I use this with everything. It's the same thing with becoming a director. When people, oh, well, you're an actor, you're not supposed to be directing. Well, I don't know. I have this passion for telling this kind of story.
Yeah.
That I want to be an author. Well, you can't be an author. You know what I mean? Blah, blah, blah.
They want to put you in a box.
They want to put you in a box. So I think that you have to just really, really believe that this is what you were born to do. And see, I never got into acting for money. I never got into it for fame. I got into it because I loved it. That stuff came. Yes. But I was deep into it before I even really knew what kind of money actors made. I never, that just wasn't a big thought. I wasn't preoccupied with that. So I think when you're, with your daughter, it's really recognizing a passion, and really recognize, like, how does a pastor decide that that's their journey? So something, the universe speaks to them in a way, God speaks to them in a certain way. So we have to train ourselves to listen. Now,
yes,
sometimes we delude ourselves, and I might be like, there are plenty of brothers that are like, oh, the NBA is calling me. And, like, no, it's really not. So I think you have to be brutally honest with yourself, and I think then you start. There are metrics, and the metrics are, you have to realize, like, there was a year. So when I got out of college, I had an agent right away. I was working for years. And then something happened, and there was one year that I just could not buy a job. And it was like the early 90s. I could not buy a job. So for a full year. But the metrics for me at that point was, I was in acting class, and I was killing it in acting class. And the acting teacher was all over me, like, oh my God, I was the example. I was working my butt off, all of those. So even though I wasn't getting work,
you were getting experience,
validation. Yeah. And so, so I think you have to look for validation, and be honest about yourself. And so that kept me going. So even when I reached that rough point, that rough patch, that kept me going, because I'm like, well, I feel, A, I'm growing, but B, I see the effects when I'm in class. I see the effects that I'm having on the teacher, on other students. I had other, students lined up to want to work with me. So you start using, you go, well, there's something. It might not be whatever, but there's, so I think I think it's important, particularly for young people, because no matter what you do, even if you do something you hate doing, or you don't have any passion, there's going to be rough patches. There's going to be, so you might as well have rough patches with something that you love.
Exactly.
Well, that is true. And that'll take you a long way in terms of just giving you the motivation to keep going. Because there are times when you get discouraged.
Yeah.
Now with the writing of your books, for me as an author, what I found with novels, especially, not so much with other kinds of writing, because I write children's books, I have some other stuff, but I have 2 novels. But what my main thing is, will people like it? When I'm thinking of when I finish it and I put it out there, I wonder, will people like the book? That's the big thing. And so does that factor into your thinking, or are you more focused on your mission for what you
I
have to
think
make?
this. I think, one quote that sticks with me is by Toni Morrison. Toni Morrison said, "I wrote my first book because I wanted to read it."
Yes.
So
Yes,
that's how I approach it. I write for me because I have faith that there are lots of people like me. So I don't write for, I think any artist that tries to satisfy everyone satisfies no one. So
Exactly.
I just need a good following. I need my niche. I need my group. And I found that, and I continue to find that, and people continue to find me. And what ends up happening, like, for instance, like people say, oh, it's a really good book after you get past the first 100 pages. I'm not going to get past the first 100
Right.
pages. So I have faith that there are a whole lot of people out in the world that read that think like me. So my books, you'll see in chapter 1, I come out the gate sprinting. I come out like it's not like this slow build. I come out either a crime or something, but people go, wow, okay. And so, because I know that there are people that have a short attention span like me. I know that there are people that like the adrenaline. I know that there are people. Well, I write the book for me and for them. I don't try to necessarily, oh, this has to satisfy this person, this person, this person. No, like, I'm okay because I think that there are enough to make me successful in doing it the way. So I think it's a mistake when we start trying to satisfy, we shape our art to satisfy everybody or the multitudes of people. Listen, yeah, McDonald's is the most successful restaurant in the world. It satisfies a ton of people. I prefer fine dining. I prefer. So guess what? You don't have billions of people going to these fine dining, spots. But that doesn't invalidate. There's an audience for them. So when I go, there are people that's like-minded that, oh my God, the restaurant is filled with people that enjoy fine dining. That's who I want to be associated with. I want to be associated with readers that are just like, hey man, your books, they're thrillers, but they say something, they resonate, they take on social issues. You have great characterization. Your books are very visual. There are a lot of people starving for that. I mean, we're all writers. We read. How many times have you read a book and 3 days later you forgot what the book
Exactly.
and who
you want something that's going to stick with people.
Exactly. And so I know that there's a large audience of people that want something to stick. Like some people, look, what do you call them? Summer reads. Some people go on the beach, they read something trashy and it's just, it occupies their time while they're lying on the beach. I like stuff that makes people, some of the best compliments I get when people are like, dude, I had to read your book through the night. Like I could not put it down. I'm still thinking about your characters. I'm torn between rooting for the bad guy and the good. That's when you know your work is resonating. Yes. Not for everybody, but trust me, there are millions of people in the world that gravitate towards that. So I just want my share of that as a fan base. And I, as I do that and I stay true to my visions, I find I convert people, because some people are like, hey, I'm not a big thriller reader, but I can't put your book down. Your books are very edgy and you got this, got that. but I can't put it down. So then you start helping people to discover something in them that they didn't even know that they had. So I say, stay true to your art, stay true to your story, and
Yes.
let everyone catch up to you.
And this is the same thinking that, from what I'm hearing so far, this is the same thinking that you put into your writing, into your acting, and even into your productions.
Yes, exactly. And, I learned a long time ago that I just didn't have an interest in trying to do the masses. I mean, it's just great to be in, successful, and you want as many people to see your work as possible. But I think when you live your life like that, and you live your career like that, I think it's challenging. So as an actor, when I played ER, when I played on ER, the role of Dr. Benton, I decided I'm going to be honest with that character. That character is going to piss some people off. It's going to turn some people off, but some people are going to love it. And it's funny because that character has endured for so many years, and I'm still getting so many fans going, I'm rewatching ER. Oh my God, I love this character. But it wasn't always like some people, oh my God, your character is so abrasive. I don't like the character. To go, okay, that's not for you. But the people that loved it. And so that's how I think you have to be courageous as an artist to not have to feel like you taking on getting everyone to like you or to like your work. Be honest with the work, and those that are attracted to that honesty, that's your fan base.
Absolutely. I love that.
Yeah, I do that. I still want people to like it, but I do that.
It's
I watched
this is like a TED Talk right now.
It is. I watched ER after it was off the air. Like I didn't watch it when it was on the air. I binged it, like, I want to say maybe 5 years ago. And I loved it. I loved the whole thing. That's one of with so many seasons that they had, it really was a good show for 16 seasons. They really did a good job with that show. Because some shows will run out of gas, but they'll still keep going. They're not interesting anymore, but they figure they're still making money. Well, we're at the end of our time, and what we want people to do is know how they can get copies of your books, and if they want, do you have autographed copies available? Is there a way for people to do that?
Well, some of the bookstores, so we're in all major, wherever one buys books, Amazon, Barnes and Noble, every major bookstore, independent bookstores. And what we do a lot of times is, obviously, if it's in California, if it's a city that I'm going to be visiting, we will sign books and have them there. So some cities will have them. We sometimes send what they call book plates, where I sign a card, they put it in the book or a stamp. So we do it different ways. And sometimes, of course, people will, track you down and come to a book signing. So there are different ways. Sometimes it's challenging, if you're like, well, we're not going to be there. I don't have a way of getting to that bookstore, then maybe we'll sign a book plate and people can do it that way. But the book is sold everywhere. And my social media, I'm on everything, Twitter, X, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. So sometimes fans reach out. I do engage with readers. Someone had written me and I wrote back, and they go, oh yeah, I'm sure this is your assistant. I was like, no, it's really me. So, I don't know how to prove it, but no, it's really me. Because readers are everything for us. You know what I mean? And so the power that they have in finding your tribe. And I think when you become an author, you need to find your tribe. So I'm very accessible. I make myself accessible to readers, but yeah, they should check it out. And what we're finding, which is really, really cool, is that the first two books, I couldn't get them published. I self-published them. Now they rebrand them and they put them out. And now the books are like appearing on bestsellers lists. And we even pulled off a trifecta where all 3 books were 1, 2, and 3. And so we're seeing like a surge in people going back and, I've got to start the series from the beginning. So sometimes people will read the 3rd book, which is Laws of Annihilation. That's the most recent book. And then they go, I got to read. Or some people go, well, I just did a big book signing in out here at Leimert Park, and which was fantastic. And people were coming up with all 3 books. And so
that's an amazing feeling.
It's such a great feeling. And you're just like, and now, of course, Christmas is coming up. We're like, bundle, but get all.
Right.
But it just
give them as gifts.
Give them exactly. And so that's,
series.
But I say that partly to say, there are a lot of readers and a lot of writers that are watching your show, and some of the writers, can be very discouraging. It's so hard. We all know how difficult it is, but sometimes you have to, despite, you got to keep pushing. You got to just keep growing as a writer, keep understanding the craft. I never quit. That's been the great thing. And then I found my way. And so there's some writers that, and again, like I said, I never changed one word when we sent them. So now they're appearing on bestsellers. Well, if they're bestsellers now, what were they capable of doing back then? I didn't change it. So some of you guys as writers, and I'm speaking to your audience now, some of the people that are writers, you just got to hang in there, because people will go, no, there's no room for this. I write in the thriller genre. There aren't many African Americans writing in this genre. But you just keep pushing, and then, you break through and people start discovering your work. So I'm just ultimately saying, don't give up. Get better, because that's the other thing. Like, something you do have to.
Yes.
I think the doubt should make you examine the integrity of your work, the quality of your work. And so if it's not, well, what is it? Am I, is this the right subject matter? And so then what you need is some really good, honest people around you, not just your mother, not just like your relatives, but objective people that can look at your work, and you have to be brave enough to accept their criticism. And so if people are honest with you and they say, well, this doesn't work, or they go, wow, I have people, I don't send anything out until it gets past these 5 people. And they will tell me in a heartbeat, nope, that's not working. I don't believe this. Okay, fine. You go back, boom, boom. Okay, now it's good. So you have to have that. We always want everybody just, say you love it, say you love it, say you love it. But that's not helping. So when you get an honest opinion, you grow. And so I would say with many people that's watching this, that I know that are frustrated and when is it going to happen? Study the craft more. And when I say study the craft, there are different ways of doing it. Taking writing classes, read good books, read books that inspire you, see what they're doing, see how they're storytelling, find an author that you feel is your favorite author. Not that you're emulating their voice because you have your own voice, but see, why are they successful? Wow, they do great plot, they do great character, they do this. Does mine compare for what it is with those things? And so that's how you become a better writer. And so even when people aren't, publishers are denying you, and people aren't, doing things that you want, that's a way to continue to grow. And so I encourage people to do that and not give up, because like I said, 10 years ago, I could not get a publisher. This year, after the release of the 3rd book, trifecta, 3 bestsellers, that's what you need to keep in mind. Just keep your focus on the work and getting better. So,
Eriq, we could talk to you probably for another 30 minutes. We thank you, because this was a masterclass as well as an interview. So thank you for all of the jewels that you dropped tonight. I'm sure somebody was listening. I hope that they were listening with an open mind and an open heart. But unfortunately, we have to end the interview. But if you can, you've already told us where we can find your books. We did put your website in the chat. So if anybody wants to order the books, they can just click on your link in the chat and order the books from there.
Absolutely.
And continued success with your books. I plan to get a set myself, so because I love mystery thrillers, so I look forward to reading it. So have a great Thanksgiving, and we look forward to seeing you again, hopefully next year.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys. This was
Looking
such a
forward to it.
pleasure. And happy Thanksgiving to you guys. Enjoy. And we will do this again.
Yes,
All right.
we will.
Okay.
Thanks so much. Have a great night.
Okay, you too. Thanks, sisters. All right.
Bye-bye.
Okay, so that was author and actor, or actor and author, Eriq LaSalle.
You know,
He had
sometimes it's
really-
good when an interview goes a little bit long.
Yeah, well, he came on a
Yeah.
little early because we had the, you know,
Mhm.
show. So, and we're continuing along the same lines in terms of genre with our next guest, Terry Keys, and he writes mysteries as well. And he has so a new book. Well, he has a series, and then he has a new book that's come out called Everyone is Bat X Crazy. So I'll do it like that.
I was wondering if you were going to say it.
So,
Hi, welcome, Terry.
yeah, Terry,
Good
welcome to
afternoon.
Black Lives Matter TV.
Good afternoon. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for
And-
being here tonight.
And you are you from Houston or lived in Houston, or the information that I saw had you in Houston?
Well, it says I see Dickinson, Texas. Where is
I
that?
do, but originally what I saw was Houston, so I want to find out where you actually.
That's right. So
Okay.
Houston is where I'm from. Actually, a little town south of Houston called, which is 288 South. So
Oh, well,
live in,
it
live in
cut
Texas.
off.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Well, where you were from, I missed the city, the town that you said you were from.
That's okay. So it's a little small town called Rochelle, Texas, which is 288
Rochelle.
South.
Okay,
ma'am.
yes, Roshan.
Mhm.
Oh, you've heard of that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Okay.
it's like, you know, Houston exurb is like 50, 60 miles from Houston,
That's
like
right.
that.
About
So,
45
you
minutes
know,
south.
we got
I've
about
only lived in a couple of cities in Texas. And I was in a small town too. I was in Killeen, Texas.
Okay, I'm
Yeah.
familiar.
yeah. Mhm. But you know, there's about 100 towns that are like 50 miles from Houston.
That's true.
You know, in all directions. It's a whole lot of places with different names. So, but I want to let you know the way that I found out about you as a writer is it was an interesting route. And I have a new book that recently came out, and I did a special on Amazon for 3 days, and it was on that free download bestseller list for the African American mysteries. And it was, my book was fifth, it was third, and I wanted it to inch up, and then I was bumping into your book.
I'm sorry. Oh
No,
gosh.
it's great, but this is true. And I said, Terry Keys, who is this Terry Keys person? So then I looked you up, and I saw you had a series of books and from Houston area, and I said, we need to get him on the show. This is a true story about how I became aware of your work. So it just never, you know, you never know. And your work sounded so interesting. And then I saw your new book too. That's not fiction. It's
Right.
it's nonfiction. So tell us, one, how long have you been writing? And well, published writing, not just
So
writing in general.
I started probably 2013, 2014.
Okay.
And then the first book came out in 2015. So which book of mine was on the list ahead of yours that you were trying to inch into?
It was, I think, Chain Guilt.
Okay. Chain Guild. Yeah, that was the first one in the series. And that one
Okay.
came out in 2015. So
Okay. And it looks like you have a character that you
I do.
continuing in the series named David Porter, a police officer. So do
Yes.
you have a police background?
So I have a background in corrections. Started off working in corrections early manhood, early 20s.
Okay.
So saw a lot of things. Reason I'm not in corrections now. But I listened to some of your earlier guests, and a lot of them talked about what happened with George Floyd, and how that kind of impacted everyone. And so what I wanted to do with my police officer was let everyone see a different side of policing. Typically, when we see it in the news, we see one side, especially in our community.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so David Porter he's a Black police officer.
He is.
Okay.
He is.
Okay. And you have 5 books with him as the main character.
I do. Working on number 6 now. So yeah, both of them are trilogies. First 3 is a trilogy, and then the second set will be a trilogy as well. So yep. 6'3", about 250, and a little bigger than I am, but yeah, he's a big Black African American cop. That's right.
Okay, well, from the ladies and some of the young women that come to visit Houston, and my daughter who lives here, she goes out and she says, you know what, Houston has some fine Black police officers.
So
I want them to lock me up. She said, I'm gonna put my arms down, handcuff me.
When were you one of the people talking like that?
No, I wasn't. That's not she goes out a lot with her friends, and they were saying it too, but ones from out of town were remarking about that. So that was fun. And the description that you gave just reminded me of how she described it. She says it every time she goes out.
Well, I think that a Black police officer in a city like Houston that's a backstory in and of itself. So do you explore some of the struggles that he has with being a police officer and being maybe patrolling some of the neighborhoods that he has to patrol?
Yeah, I do. So I think my story, I was kind of listening to Eriq's interview, and he talked about finding your audience, and my story. I've been married for 23 years. Married to, my wife is white. Live in Texas, South Texas, deep South Texas. So there's some life experiences that I have that are unique, and I feel like I could share it. I could share a lot of those stories through my character. So it's not just obviously it's a fiction. It's a story, but I can tell some of those other sub stories and subplots within the overarching story itself.
Okay, now what's the setting for your story? Is it in Houston or is it somewhere else altogether? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. Well.
So yeah, you'll be familiar with some of the places that I talk about in the books.
Okay. All right. Now, this David Porter character, when you first start, is he a police officer, existing police officer, and then you kind of do some backstory on him, or is it mostly him crimes that he investigates, or is he a detective, or is he actually an officer? So I'm asking you several questions about him.
He is a detective.
Okay.
He's got a background in criminology, a background in clinical psychology. He's an ex-Army Ranger, ex-college football player. So very well-rounded guy. And then we tell some of his backstories through the first story, the second story, the third story. But pretty well-rounded fellow. But I can tell again a lot of the subplots and sub stories about him being Black, him being a Black police officer through the novels.
Go ahead, Ryan, because I've already asked him a bunch of questions.
Well, I guess I'm trying to delve into the character because I really think it's such a interesting concept with a lot of different layers, and I'm just wondering, I know you say you kind of go into his backstory a little bit, but does that sometimes cause struggle with who he's actually, like, for instance, is he struggling with his Blackness, or is he is he like, okay, I have to arrest this young Black man, but I know this could have been me when I was a kid. Does he go through those struggles as he's solving his cases?
So I'll answer it like this. So my day job, I work in corporate America. Mm-hmm. Like I already mentioned, my wife is white. So my character, and I can tell some of my stories through this character as well, he doesn't struggle with his Blackness. He struggles with everyone else struggling with his Blackness, which is the same thing that I deal with. I'd say probably weekly at some point, maybe if not directly, indirectly, often. So again, he's struggling with everyone else's acceptance of his Blackness and how he understands there's not a limit, but he's consistently fighting that battle where others see it as a limit, whether they say it directly or indirectly.
And that is true in general of people who are in environments, which is a lot of in corporate or where they are one of a few. There is it's not a ton of Black people in the environment. So, the microaggressions and the code switching and all of that people have to deal with is real, but it's based on other people's perception of us or what they think we should be, instead of just taking us as just human. Exactly. Sometimes they will put on some extra characteristics or assumptions on us that don't exist, or they just say things sometimes just out of the blue that are insulting, and they say they don't realize they're insulting, but I don't think they're that dumb.
I think you got six on one hand, half a dozen on the other. I think a lot of folks just haven't been exposed, whether that's willfully or by choice. You just hadn't been exposed. So
yeah. So are your books self-published?
Yes. So I did think about going the conventional route, but again, I wanted to delve into and talk about some issues that I wanted to express in my books. I didn't want to be limited that way. So I have a lot more control over when I release, what topics I cover. I've written, the last book that I came out with was obviously nonfiction. So it gives me, more flexibility with my career.
So was your new book, is that self-published as well?
Yes, ma'am.
Because I've been seeing that places. It's getting, the title is very provocative.
It was meant to be that way.
Yeah. That's about it. It's attention. Yeah, it's attention getting. And that's what you want. You want people to stop and look, either because of your title, your cover, or something. Because you're competing with multiple messages all day long and multiple books coming out. People can decide what they want to read. And so it's kind of like one of those things where it's a reel going like this. And you want people to say, okay, let me stop
for 1 second.
At that one. Yeah. Yeah. So, but your title and your cover with the title is
tell us about the book. What's everybody is bat as crazy.
So, that's basically the truth. At the end of the day, a lot of us try to deny it, especially when we go out in public. Whether you're at church, whether you're at work, or whether you're hanging out with friends. At the end of the day, we all got issues that we're dealing with. We all got problems. And it's just about accepting that life is not perfect and that you're not perfect, and working through those. So one of the quotes I have in the book is life is perfect imperfection. And a lot of people life is perfect imperfection. A lot of people just never come to grips with that, whether it's their personal life, whether it's their work life, whether it's relationships. But that's life in a nutshell. It's perfect imperfection, and learning to accept and realize that we have no control. And it's where most people's anxiety comes from, is trying to control, whether it's control the spouse, control the outcome. Once you really, really dive into it, you really start to understand and realize how little control we have on a day-to-day basis. You may get to pick what color shirt you put on in the morning. You may get to decide what you want to eat. But once you leave that house, you might be backing out of the driveway and a drunk driver come hit you right in the driveway. First thing in the morning. Like, that was completely out of your control. But when you really start to look into your life, you start to see just how little is in your control. So I delve a lot into those issues. Then I delve a lot into happiness. I think that's one of the things that's been sold, especially to Americans, is this thought that we have to be happy 24/7, and if we're not happy 24/7, something's wrong with us. And that's a lie that's been sold to everyone. Happiness is great. It's great to be happy, but you have to understand that happiness in and of itself is fleeting. You're not always going to be happy, and it's probably not good to be happy all the time anyway.
You might sometimes, if you're a substance abuser, you might feel like you're happy, but
That's right. That's
but
right.
you know, I think we appreciate being happy more if it's not a consistent ongoing thing. It's hard to appreciate being happy if you're in a constant state of happiness. You know, it's there's going to be peaks and valleys,
There's gonna be peaks and
and
valleys.
that's with life. Nothing's going to be perfect, and like you said, we are it's perfectly imperfect.
Yep.
Right.
And
A lot of
there's a
people start.
whole lot we don't control. And this is what I
Right.
tell people too, sometimes when they agonize and have anxiety over things and get depressed about things. You know, I say that we don't control this world. The things that happened before, you know, that the world was here millions of years before we got here. It's going to be here millions of years
Mhm.
after we're less than dust. So we have a small window that we get to live in, and we have to make the best of what that window is.
That's right.
And
Have to
that's all
maximize.
we can do.
That's right.
And it goes by really, really fast.
Really fast. Really fast.
The only slow part is when you're like when you're trying to get to 21.
Mm.
It seems like that takes forever.
That's
After
true.
that, it's also, after that, you turn around, 10 years have passed, 10 more years have passed, and it just is quick.
That's all a blur. That's right.
It really is a blur. So what do you have, what's in your future for your books coming out in the future? What do you have going on?
So I really enjoyed. So I've written 2 nonfictions now. We talked about the last book that just came out, but right in the middle of the situation with George Floyd and all of that, I wrote another nonfiction book that I really enjoyed as well. So that was called Stop Killing Us. So I've really enjoyed the 2 nonfiction books that I've written, but I want to get back to my root audience, which is thriller, mystery, fiction. So the next book I'm working on now will be the 3rd in the trilogy, the David Porter series. So it'll be book number 6 in that series. And I know I got a lot of folks that are emailing consistently when the next book coming out, when the next book coming out, when the next book coming out, which is great. But and you got some of these readers out here that, and I just did it. I bought a book, and my wife will probably kill me, but because you know I go to the store and I grab the back of it. And I'm reading the jacket while I'm standing there waiting to check out. I'm like, dang, I gotta
right. And then next thing you know, you bought the book.
Then next thing you know, I got the book. So I read a book called The Party a few weeks ago. I started it at like 7 or 8 o'clock that afternoon, and by 2 or 3 o'clock that morning, I had finished the book. Like I just stopped. That's all I did that afternoon. Just read the book, and now I understand what happens with my readers. So you know, I'll release a new book. You know, that I'll spend months on the editing process, etc. And you know, a day later they'll email me and say, "Hey, that was a great book," and I'm like, "Oh my God." So I totally understand. You know, where other readers come from when you know they can. And in one sitting, you know, read my book, and it's taken me, you know, weeks and months to perfect and put out. So
sometimes years.
Sometimes years to get a voracious reader that sits down and reads it in 2 to 3 hours. So
how often do you put your books out?
I had been doing at least 1 a year. I've had a couple of years where I released 2. I've already released 1 this year. Doubt I'll get through another one this year. Probably aiming for early next year. Maybe next year I'll try to get 2 out.
Okay.
Yeah. Now for your novels, how for lack of a better way of asking, what's your word count? Like how thick are they?
Word count.
Your average.
Yeah. So typically I'm aiming 65 to 75 is where I'm aiming.
Okay, so typical novel.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Yeah.
And I'm seeing more people these days are liking the books that are on the shorter. They still want a full novel, but they want them on the shorter side. They're not looking for the 80,000 to 100,000 word books as much anymore. Not saying that there's not a place for them anymore, but that 65,000 is usually a pretty comfortable range because people are so busy these days.
Yeah.
Short attention span. That's right.
Yes. And they're being bombarded with so many different images and messages much more so than ever before.
Right.
That's right.
And every time a new social media platform comes out, that just multiplies the images. You know, TikTok is now everybody's on TikTok.
Are you considering audiobooks?
So I do have a few people who would prefer all of my books be audiobooks. I do have the first one I did an audiobook. So I heard you talk about that during the last interview. The process went pretty well. They had several different voice actors pick the voice actor, we did a contract. And so the first one, I'm thinking about doing the rest of them as well. I have had a few folks say, hey, why don't you just read them yourself, and have David Porter, which is my main character, being my voice as opposed to having someone else do it. So I've considered that as well. I know there's a huge audience out there for audiobooks also. So something I'm considering.
I'm a fan of audiobooks. I say that all the time. I love holding a book.
I've never listened to one. For me, I couldn't do my book because my main characters are men. So I couldn't really, I don't know.
But you don't have to read the book yourself.
No, I'm saying I couldn't because I don't think it would work with a male-centered storyline. I don't know. But anyway, I'm considering it, but I don't know yet. So,
but do you have any appearances anytime soon?
I don't have any scheduled. I've done a couple of book signings, here locally here in Houston, good. But I don't have anything planned currently.
Okay. You might have to get them out to the festival.
Yeah.
I'd love to.
Yeah. Now, had you heard about our show before I reached out to you?
I had not. And you started off the show with telling me how you found me, and that was going to be my first question is how you found me. So that was pretty interesting. Because I do the same thing every time I release a book. You're looking at the Amazon chart trying to see, hey, okay, I moved up to number 2.
Yeah.
Can I move up? Yeah. So I do the same thing. So it's pretty interesting.
And normally I will know the person.
Gotcha.
That, in the genre that I'm in, depending on what the genre is. And then so in this case, I wasn't familiar with you. And I said, well, let me research. Once I researched and found out that you had several books, I said, well, we need to get them. And you're from Houston, golly. I should. Houston's so big though. It's hard to know. People ask me, do I know so and so? What side of town are they on? And what church do they go to? That's what and that's that's how I meet people a lot. Now, what neighborhood did you grow up in? You grew up in Houston proper?
Well, no, it was outside of Houston. So Roshan is outside of Houston. So
you grew up in Roshan?
Yes, right. Small country town. Country boy.
That's right. Okay. Well, my husband's a country boy, so
he must be a good guy then.
Yeah, country boys are solid. They get it. They know what they're supposed to do. That's what I tell women. A country boy, you don't have to tell him what he's supposed to do. He gets it. So anyway, Terry, thanks so much for being a guest on Black Authors Matter TV. Tell people how they can get your books, your website, your social media, and so forth.
Very good. I appreciate you guys having me once again. You can go to my website, which is www.terrykeysbooks.com. On Facebook, you can just search my name, Terry Keys Author. On Twitter, which is now X, so I'm on there as well. You can join my group. I have a group where you can join a newsletter. You can get to that from the contact page on my website as well. My books are found everywhere books are sold. You can get them on Amazon, which we've kind of talked about a few times here already. Barnes and Noble, Apple, you can get them in all those places. So again, I appreciate you guys having me on. It was very, very interesting. How you came across me, but God works in mysterious ways. So
God does, and that's the first time that's happened. Where that's how I came familiar with the author, and then invited him on the show. That you're the first.
Yeah, well, we appreciate you being on the show, and we did put your link in the chat, so people can go to your website, learn more about your books, and maybe even order a few of them.
Awesome. I appreciate you guys again. I appreciate the time, and I'll definitely be tuning in from now on.
Oh,
okay. Thank you so much for the support.
Gained a new fan. Yep. I appreciate the platform. Great platform here you guys got.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Y'all have a good afternoon.
And you
You
do the
too.
same.
Okay. Well, did we find out who won the book?
We talked
Oh,
about
we
who won
did.
the
That's
book.
right. That's
Yeah.
right. Mary won the book. Okay.
Yes.
I was distracted a little bit there. So Mary did win the book, and we will be sending it to her. So our final guest is a children's author, and her name is Lisa Gilliard. I think I'm pronouncing it correctly. And Lisa was at the National Black Book Festival with her book this year. And I'm not sure if I don't think we posted her pictures yet. Let me look. I have a chart of all the authors who came and if we posted their books and when we posted them. No, we haven't posted her photos yet. So we have 500 photos we were going through. And so we're posting a few per day. But Lisa, welcome to Black Authors Matter TV.
Well, hello there. Happy Tuesday.
Yeah, same to you.
Happy Tuesday to you. Or as somebody put into the chat earlier, happy Taco Tuesday.
Oh, I love that.
Now, why is it Taco
cute.
Tuesday?
Yeah.
Where's the Taco Tuesday? Where does that come from?
Well, there's Taco Tuesday. Normally Tuesdays is called are called Taco Tuesday, but since this is a talk show, she said Happy Talk Tuesday.
Oh, okay. Well, I live in Houston. We got tacos going on all day long, every day. So I don't know. We got lots of Mexican food everywhere. On every corner, there's a food truck or something that sells Mexican food, Tex-Mex food, or some variation everywhere. So it's
well,
all
Miss Lisa, welcome to the show. It's good to have you. We appreciate you joining us tonight.
Yeah. Now, Rhonda, did you meet Lisa at the festival?
Did we meet?
I don't remember.
I don't either. I was in the back. I was the one who was doing the drawing and I was doing all the interviews, but I don't know if you and I had a chance to chat.
I don't think we ever had a chance to chat, but I recognize your face. I think so. Honestly, I don't know if I talked to either of you.
I don't think so.
We get there and we get busy. Sometimes I hardly see Gwen myself.
That's the truth. We don't even see each other. I mean, I saw that the first time I saw you was Thursday night. Now, I think, Lisa, did you come Thursday night?
No.
Did you come to the reception?
No.
But
it's okay.
There were lots of pictures that we have. So when I get to post them, there were some good pictures of you.
Well, thank you.
From the event. The photographer did a really good job of just getting everybody in, and the quality of the pictures is just amazing. It's just
good. I think I looked him up on Facebook and started following him because when he was around with the camera, I seemed to be ready. I'm always waiting for a photo op.
Okay. Well, he captured everybody. Did a great job. And there's a lot of pictures of you, Ron. I haven't had a chance to post most of them yet. So
I saw a couple of the pictures. I was in the pictures that you posted of Kwame.
Yeah, you were.
Yeah.
And so I'm gonna be posting pictures for at least a month. But Lisa, tell us about your book. And you talk about kindness, confetti. That's the title. And is this your first book?
It is. It is my very first book. It's a children's book.
Well, congratulations.
And it just talks about how basically you just need to throw kindness around like it's confetti. And I don't know if you remember with my table setup that I tend to put confetti on my table and on the floor around the table and things, and so that the confetti will spread, and just like how kindness needs to spread. And I was at a pop-up, I think it was in October, maybe the first part of October, before I came there, and I had confetti I was in a hallway of a church life center, and in the hallway that led into the area of where the actual event was going to take place and where all the guests and stuff were at, there was confetti all the way in there. And so I just kind of laughed to myself and I was like, kindness is all the way in here too, you know? So it literally spread. And so I'm just a huge advocate for people being kind to each other. And particularly, I feel like it starts with kids when they're young, so that it will stay ingrained in them that you need to be kind. So anyway, my book, Kindness Confetti, is pretty much geared towards teaching children how to be good humans, how to build and sustain healthy friendships, you know, with other people, and just how to be an overall good human.
Yeah, I love that.
Do you have a background as an educator or what?
I do.
Okay.
You sound like an educator.
You do.
Thank you. I do. This is my 19th year of being an educator. 18 of those years have been at the elementary level, and this is my first year being at a middle school level. And so just a lot of the things that I've dealt with at the elementary age and stuff, you know, with being in the classroom and being an administrator and stuff, it's mostly kids just being mean to each other and just trying to get them to reel it in and understand just conflict resolution and understanding that people are different, you know, and it's okay to be different, and you don't need to tease them and pick at them or whatever because they are different. It's okay that they want to be unique. So I talk about that a good bit throughout my book.
Okay. Now, you know, there's a saying that hurt people hurt people.
Absolutely.
And if children aren't being kind, do you attribute that to their experience at home or in their neighborhood?
Absolutely. I think a lot of it comes from what they see every day. And for the amount of time that they're with me, the 6 or 7 hours that they spend with me, I want them to be able to see something different. I want them to be able to leave that life at home if it's a bad life or whatever. I want them to be able to leave that life at home and come into a world where they can experience someone who appreciates them, helps them to feel like they matter. And just by being kind to them, then they start to understand it. Oh, okay, then. Well, I guess if I'm kind to other people, you know, hey, this can work for me too.
So is this something that was this idea? I mean, was it born from your experiences with the kids? Did you see like differences in the kids who came happy and the ones who were upset? How did that idea come about?
Absolutely. I've been wanting to write a book for years, and I just never knew what I wanted to write a book about. And so when I really sat down and thought about it, I was like, well, you know what? What if I write something, you know, that helps children with conflict resolution, you know? Because I mean, after like I said, 18 years at the elementary level and just thinking back through day-to-day situations that I encountered, you know, and things that it was all because somebody didn't know how to handle something. They didn't know how to handle themselves. Therefore, they didn't know how to respond to the way the other person reacted. And so they only reacted to them because of the only way that they knew how. And a lot of it's because of what they've seen at home or what they've seen, you know, just from other family members and on some of the TV shows that they may have been watching, you know, and things like that's how that particular character or person responded to something. And so they feel like that's the only way that they can respond is by being mean back to the person.
And sometimes it's, have you noticed that's kind of environment driven, where you feel like you have to always be aggressive. You always have to be tough. If you're smiling too much, you may get taken advantage of. If you smile too much, they're going to think you're weak. Absolutely. And that thought, that line of thinking starts at a very young age often.
It does. And I see a lot of that. with the students that I have now at that hour at the middle school level. And I feel like I see it more at middle school than I did at elementary age. And my only guess with that is because they're getting a little older and they're coming into themselves, they're getting more mature, and they're starting to be able to identify with what is right and what is wrong. And so one thing that really sticks out to me, two things really that stick out to me with the middle school age children that I have in my school is drama between somebody said this, he said that,
Right.
and so I'm come from the background of, did you hear it with your own ears? Did you hear this person say that? Well, no. Well, the person that told you this, can you trust what they say? Well, they're my friend. They're they're always gonna say the right thing to me. They're trying to protect me and stuff. You know what? That friend may be trying to protect you and trying to help you, but at the same time, they're not mature enough to understand that you don't need to know everything. That I can shut this down for you right now and stuff. And so that's what I try to do on a daily basis at our school. And even with my other administrators, we are all on the same team where it's like, shut it down, be that person to say, no, that's not true. Or even if it is true, to say, well, you really shouldn't be talking about that, to the person. And so I've noticed more with dealing with middle school age children and with working alongside our school counselors and stuff, is that one thing that we say more and more at the end of every conversation is, don't talk about this outside of this room. What stays in here, what happened in here stays in here.
Right.
Because you go outside that door and start talking about, well, they were asking me this and this and this, and then they were questioning me about so and so and so. No, we're done. We're trying to complete an investigation, and I don't need you to go out there with fire, out there being a fire starter, and we're coming behind you with buckets of water trying to put it out. It's like, no, let's just shut it down as quick as we possibly can. So the other thing that I also see with our middle school kids, that a lot of the times it stems from something of where somebody said this or he said that or whatever, are children who are contemplating self-harm, and children who have even tried it, they've attempted it, and things, because they feel like, well, you know what, if that person is saying those mean things about me, maybe it is true, and I can just take care of this, and just, if I'm not there, they can't hurt me, and I often think of way back, like in preschool and kindergarten age, that there was a little saying, I don't even know if it was like a fairy tale or what it was or what it went with, but it was something like, sticks and stones can break my bones, words will hurt me, and things. And I'm like, now as an adult, I'm like, oh no, that is so messed up, because yes, sticks and stones can hurt you, but sometimes those
words can hurt. Words will I have a book called Some Wounds Never Heal, and words can cause wounds that never heal.
That never heal. Words can harm you more than just the sticks and stones, which also reminded me of what Miss Richardson, was saying about hurt people hurt others and stuff, So yeah, it is like, well, you know what? Somebody did this to me. I'm just going to do it back to you, because that's the only way I know how to cope with this and things. And so in reality, it's like screaming out saying, I really do need help with knowing how to cope with this, so I can stop being so mean and ugly to people. And so, but yeah, that's that.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like it's bringing emotions to the court, and I can believe it does, because when you're dealing with children,
yes,
you want them to be happy, and you want them to have hope, to be positive and be hopeful, and they're going to have down days because we all do have that. But now with social media, some of the negativity is multiplied so much.
Oh my
Where we
goodness.
didn't have that. Everything was just whatever it was in the neighborhood or the school, it ended there. And
Mm.
but now things can go, viral and worldwide, and it's just too much for a child to handle.
Absolutely, absolutely. We experience that as well a lot with our with our middle schoolers, way more, I feel way more than I did with elementary, where once it's out there on social media, it's out there, and you can't get that back. And a lot of it is when I was growing up, we used to call it trash talking, stuff with somebody. And now I don't know what has happened with the generations, the generation we have now, where the trash talking is like they're so
it's getting worse and worse.
It escalates.
Yes, and children are super sensitive to that, and where even I'll share this one. Recently for Veterans Day, we had a video that was running where students, relatives, who had served in the military, they had submitted pictures of them, and we had it on a slideshow and was presenting it to the entire student body. And so someone giggled at the way someone's family member looked in a picture, and it just the child was just ripped out of the frame, because someone had giggled at it, and stuff. And that took a lot of talking to and just to both of those children, and then just addressing it as a whole with the entire student body, that look, this is wrong,
Right.
You have some comments that you have, or some feelings that you have, don't put that out there in the atmosphere. You need to come and talk to someone about that, and things, instead of just trying to put someone else down. So I have zero tolerance for things like that.
You just never know what somebody's going through, and you never know what's going to trigger someone else.
Yes. We of course recently celebrated World Day of Kindness last week, and so I challenged my students to do 2 random acts of kindness on that day. And I said, for some of you, this is really not going to be a challenge, and so for some of you others, it's really gonna tear you guys apart, with trying to find something nice to do. And so one of the things that all of our kids were doing was, for that day, I was like, y'all, it was a project they were working on. And so I was like, that's your one act of kindness right there, if you choose to participate in that project, so now I'm only asking you to do one more thing. It really shouldn't be that hard, and stuff. So I was like, it could just be something as simple as passing someone in the hallway and saying good morning, to let that person know, hey, I see you, and things. Because again, like you were saying, Dr. Richardson, that you never know, I'm sorry, Dr. Lawson, that you never know how someone is feeling or what they're going through, and stuff, and just passing you in the hallway and you saying good morning and smiling, it's like, whew, okay, I'm in a good place. Someone cares about me. I can stop thinking about what is draining me for at least, a half a second, and just,
A quick story, and this is why I take this to heart. When I was in the Army, I had a pen pal. I didn't know this guy at all, and there was no romance or anything. Just we used to just message each other back and forth, and I would give him encouragement. I have no idea what I said to this man. To this day, I have no idea what I said to him. But one day he emailed me and said he just wanted to thank me for what it was I said to him. He said, that did so much. I was depressed and I was thinking about suicide, and I just want to thank you for what you said. And I'm like, I have no idea what I said to him, but I just thank God that I said it, So sometimes those kind, encouraging words can go a long way.
Absolutely. Being at the right place at the right time and saying the right thing, just another thing that, like, me and my fellow administrators have realized, that it's all about relationship building, and that children truly can tell when you care about them. And we have some children in our school where like our grade levels are split up, but there's some, who may prefer to come and talk to me than their grade level administrator because they have built a relationship with me, and vice versa. I may have some kids who would prefer to go to another administrator because of the relationship that they've built. And so it makes us all, there's three of us, and it just makes us all feel so good that even though they were our student on our grade level, but they felt comfortable talking to somebody, and we're just so grateful for that more than anything than, forget who you really were supposed to talk to. I'm just glad you got to somebody. And so, it can be, it's interesting. So, but my book, Kindness Confetti, it just talks about, like I say, some timeless soft skills that are all throughout the book. There are different sections in here.
Can you show us the cover? I don't know if you did.
She did. She showed the cover.
Okay. I might have missed. There it is. Yeah, I remember.
So is the young lady on the front, is that the main character, or is it character driven, or what?
Well, there's several characters in this particular one, but my next book coming up, preferably it'll be ready in spring of 2024. It's there's five, different sections in here, where the first one is about how hard work pays off. And then the next section is about being respectful, encouraging others, don't argue. We have a lot of parents that love that section about don't argue, and being a good friend. So my next books that come out will be associated with all of the different parts that are in here. Like my next one will focus on how hard work pays off, and it will be a full-fledged story, that has the characters and things of that nature. Now, this little friend right here, now that is Casey, and she's going to be in all of the books. So she'll be the main character of all the books, and then she will have friends that come along to join her. One of the things that I really wanted to be intentional about with this book was that my characters were all inclusive. My illustrator is phenomenal. Carly Kennedy, she's a sophomore at Clemson University. And so she is very much into art. And so I talked about how I wanted the characters to look in the book and stuff. And I thought that was going to be one of my hardest things to do, but it just turned out to be so easy, to talk to her, and things where I could say, I want a Middle Eastern boy about the age of 10, that has a hearing device, or I want to see a Latino girl, playing soccer. I want the coach on the soccer team to be a Black male. I want my police officer to be a Black female talking to a Black male, and even just talking about the different shades, of colors and stuff, where I didn't want every character. I didn't want all of my Latino characters to be of a darker race. I wanted them to be of various tones of brown, and my Black characters and stuff, I wanted them to be different shades of brown. My white characters, I didn't want them to be pale white. I wanted some that have an olive complexion, some that, are a little lighter than that and stuff. And so I feel like throughout the book with the illustrations that Carly did an amazing job with capturing all of that, to make everyone all inclusive. I think if there's a child in here on crutches, there's a child in a wheelchair, and things, and students that are of different races.
Everybody feels included.
Everybody is included. So yeah. Yep.
Now there's a saying about, an old saying that don't take my kindness for weakness. And some people may perceive kindness as a weak point, a person that can be taken advantage of or bullied even. So what are your thoughts on that? How do you balance it? Teaching kindness without the children being vulnerable to being picked on.
Right, right. Well, I tend to use myself as an example, whereas I feel like I'm a very kind person. I am happy. I have my I have a very strong faith. I believe that Jesus is ordering my steps and guiding me in everything that I do. And so sometimes I run into people who feel like, okay, is she faking it or what? Because like, he's always happy.
They're not used to people being happy. If you're happy, you're up to something.
Exactly. I've got to be up to something. I mean, like my whole backstory is enough to make you wonder, how can she be that happy and things, but I just believe that my faith and my belief, is just that, if I truly have Jesus at the center of my life, and I am his, he has chosen me, then I believe that he is going to handle every single thing that I deal with. So he's going to handle the haters. He's going to handle those who think that I am faking, or he's going to handle those who think that I'm just entirely too nice. But at the same time, I feel like I'm teaching them something, that you don't have to walk around here being all sad and down and out and all of that stuff. There is joy, there is light out there, just get out and look for it, embrace it, that kindness is the way to go. You can get a lot further down the road by being kind than being rude and hateful and nasty to people. So yeah, that's just my philosophy on that.
Yeah. Some people, they adopt the ability to de-escalate situations, but some people just automatically escalate a situation.
Exactly.
And you have to figure out how to balance those in life, in business, in the workplace, in school. Yeah. Because some people are looking for an opportunity to make you, they're trying to egg you on, so to speak.
Absolutely.
Or they're trying to get loud to prove something to themselves or other people.
Exactly.
So it happens.
I'm on team de-escalate. So yeah.
Me too. and I'm on a team, and sometimes I encounter this at the festival where somebody will feel like they have a problem, and instead of discussing it like an adult, they'll try to argue or berate, and I just cut it off because I'm not going to go back and forth with you.
Right.
Exactly. I'm not coming
to happen.
But I think that goes back to what we were talking about earlier in the interview, where we said that sometimes people feel that when you're smile or when you're always happy, that's a sign of weakness. So they need to come in strong so you can take them seriously and know that they mean business. And they don't always realize that can make the person not want to help you because you're coming in strong. It's not going to
it has the opposite effect.
It's just gonna make them mad. Yeah.
Exactly.
So Lisa, we're at the end of our time. Can you let people know, show your book again, give the title, and let them know how they can get their own copy of Kindness Confetti?
This is Kindness Confetti, written by moi. And it's been illustrated by my absolute favorite illustrator, Miss Carly Kennedy. You can get this on my website, and it is called smilewithme2023.com. smilewithme2023.com. The 2023 is very important for the website, simply because that's when Kindness Confetti was birthed in 2023. So that's where you can find it. They're $10. There's a small shipping and handling fee on there, but if you want it autographed, or something like that, just put that in the notes section on the ordering link and stuff, and I can get that to you. My staff is on the site all the time checking for orders and things. It's connected to my watch, so I even get I'll get a message that someone has placed an order, and before I can usually even get home to even figure out who it is that's placed this order, one of my staff has already taken care of it, and left it with something to be signed. It's like, oh, I left this one out, for you to sign it, just slap an envelope and drop it off in the mailbox and we'll be good to go. Okay, I can do that. So it's great. It's great. I think you would enjoy reading Kindness Confetti. There's reflection questions at the end of each section also that helps you to just kind of apply it to yourself and help you to walk out your daily life, of how you can apply that situation to you and be kind to someone else.
Wonderful. Okay, well, Lisa, we are at the end of our show, and thank you so much for being a guest, and congratulations on your first book. And it was great having you attend the National Black Book Festival. Be on the lookout for your photos to be posted soon.
Yay, will do then. I have thoroughly enjoyed myself. It's been my pleasure to be on with you guys tonight.
Okay. Well, we enjoyed talking with you. You have a great evening and best wishes in all you do.
Thank you so much. Happy Thanksgiving to both of you.
And the same to you.
All right, thanks.
Okay, well, that's it for this week. We are at the end of our show. Everybody have a great Thanksgiving. Don't eat too much, but everybody always does. And so
eat too much. Just make sure you exercise on Friday.
Yeah, well, it's true. If you exercise on Friday, you'll be great. We're off for tonight. I'm Gwen Richardson signing off. We'll see you next Tuesday on Black Authors Matter TV.
And I'm Dr. Rhonda Lawson. Have a wonderful evening and a great week.
Thank you for tuning in, and join us next Tuesday at 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern for another edition of Black Authors Matter TV.